For instance, we can use the OpenAI playground. So let's turn off our Copilot here and we go to platform.openai.com. And when we go to platform.openai.com, we have this playground button. Zoom in a little bit here. So we can click on the playground. And now here in this playground, we get a lot more leeway as to what we want to do. It's fundamentally the same tech as chat.openai.com, but this is now for developers. So I can come in here and I can type a message. So I can say, I am climbing the apple tree and I am picking. And so I'm asking the same question, but now I can specify exactly what kind of model I want to use for this. And I could say show more models, and we'll see that there's quite a few different models. Then I could set a number of parameters that'll essentially change the randomness of the response. Temperature is randomness of the response. If the temperature was 0, it would always respond the same way. If I set it to 2, it'll pretty much produce nonsense. So we'll leave this at 1. We can specify the length that it can generate and so on. Right? So there's a few parameters, but the main thing is these prompts. Now note that there's also a system prompt over here. This is an invisible prompt that I can use to set up certain expectations. So I can say, you are a professional customer service representative. Answer in a short but informative manner. Right? That is how I will configure this system. Okay. So let me go ahead and let's trigger that. If I click submit, that's like hitting the submit button on the chat site, except now I've configured this to be shorter but informative and correct, right? So that's kind of interesting. So we did that. Now I could also say, you are a comedian, answer in a funny fashion that is as absurd as possible. All right, and now we get rid of that and we do this again. And we get a completely different answer because now we have configured the system with the system message that would, if we did this as a developer, would be invisible to the user. What we are looking at here is a developer playground. So this is meant to say, okay, as a developer, I could build an interface like chat.openai.com or build it into my application. And we want this to be hidden from the user. And this might be the question that the user asks, and then we get this answer. And you can see this is, in fact, absurd and funny. I didn't read through it. You can do that if you want, but it comes up with the weirdest stuff when you do this. Now, if you're a developer, you could now also go in here. Now, you could say, view this code, and you could see whatever. Maybe you're a Python developer. You could see, how would I actually send this to OpenAI to programmatically do this? Okay, so this is just a playground, but we would use that as the basis for what we're doing. Now, the question line, is it possible to add the Bing chat to an Outlook ribbon or make a channel in Teams for Bing chat? It's not currently possible, but in the next versions of all these applications, you will see that show up as just a Copilot feature. So you don't have to add it in any way as an add-on. It will just be there in every single Microsoft application. That's the future, and it's starting to happen now. Some people have the preview versions already. So anyway, that's the OpenAI playground, and that's a really good way to play with this stuff as a developer. So I use this a ton just to try things out and see what happens.